What are the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Post? Supreme Darkness. Big dog, with Supreme Darkness right around the corner. I mean, we've already had our premieres. You're probably going to be wondering, what are the strongest decks coming out of this set? Don't worry, because today, your boy did all of the research. I've done the calculations and the math, and I'm going to be giving you the information you need to survive in Supreme Darkness. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Supreme Darkness is going to be another interesting Yu-Gi-Oh! Set. While it may not be the set that I would say everyone should buy, I actually made a video talking about how this set could be a potential scam to you. This particular set will change the metagame. Inevitably, every set does in some way. And in today's video, I have a short, sweet, and simple criteria. Every single one of these Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies that are mentioned in this tier list have been affected by Supreme Darkness, whether they've gotten direct or indirect support. 2, I'm going to be ranking these strategies based on how powerful they are. What are the odds of them being able to win the highest level event? Big dog, YCS Orlando is just around the corner, and you can use this information as a template on what decks to prepare for or what deck to play. Just don't expect me to be there. Brother, stop asking me. There's a 0% chance I'm going to Orlando. Not for Yu-Gi-Oh! At least. I go for women in the Disneyland. We will, though, be streaming the event, so be sure to drop on by on my Twitch. But let's go ahead and start off this tier list with Arcana Force. Arcana Force did get some support from Supreme Darkness. The only problem is that it's still Arcana Force, a coin flip-based Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Now, I do understand that the support cards are getting away from the coin flip gimmick. In fact, it's actually allowing you to be able to decide your coin flip, which makes Arcana Force stronger. Stronger in the darkness ahead. Arcana Force is a casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck at best. The strategy simply doesn't have the fortitude. What did they say about Lamar Jackson? It's not quarterbacky enough. Except this deck actually doesn't have the fortitude. It isn't quarterbacky enough. I think that this deck would be a fun locals deck at best. Next is your boy or your girl's Argo Star, the trap-based Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Listen here, you gooner, you guys just got malice. Do not give this strategy waifu status just yet. I like the first wave of support for Argo Stars. Argo Stars Glorious Adra is the start of something that can be really special for the archetype, and it is getting more support in Alliance Insight. We also know that trap cards that are going to be monsters are going to be a wave, at least for the next 3 months. Not only will Argo Stars, a trap monster deck, get support in Alliance Insight, inside of the new Maze of the Master set, we're going to be getting Odeon support.
All right, Mr. Wheeler. Prepare to experience an ancient power like nothing you've ever seen before, or will see again.
Boy, you just gotta love that bold dude, don't you? I would say that Argo Stars, unfortunately, darkness ahead. I think Argo Stars Outlich will be a powerful Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck, but will it be powerful right now? Like, it is a deck that could be potential, and I would say it's stronger than Arcana Force, but if we're talking about for the next 3 months, I don't expect it to do much of anything. Now, Crystons are an interesting deck. They went from a strategy on no one's radar to be grip walking all over the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. I know you can't see it right now, but your boy see. Well, I've seen enough testing of this deck. It is a potential Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy that can topple YCS. Wouldn't be surprised. One thing there is to note about Crystron is that since it didn't have as much success in the OCG, there may not be much representation. Still though, this is a strategy that has all of the tools to be able to top a high level event, and I think coming out of the gate in Supreme Darkness is one of the best decks in the game. Now, I was wrong about Cyber Dragon. It snaked its way back into my love. Zane's Truesdale, most treasured monster, just got support with the new Clockwork Knight card that lets you search Clockwork Knight. Look, I know you're hearing the same thing, but I'm saying it different. I'm saying Knight, and then the other night, like nighttime. This makes Cyber Dragon a ferocious going second deck, but also the strategy can go first just a little bit. I think that Cyber Dragon has some potential here. I wouldn't personally say that this deck is a world beater or anything, but if I'm being honest with you, Cyber Dragon has been pretty good for a while, especially when you get access to Clockwork Knight, and that's what this deck finally does have. I was wrong. Now, heroes on a best deck tier list. Don't go All Might on me, guys, because you might end up like All Might. In actuality, I think that that's a really good comparison for heroes. This deck had its time to shine and was once considered one of the strongest decks in the game. And it also has the potential still to surprise people. But as far as consistently winning, I think potential is where you put it. Big dog, you gotta pluck that hair off and give it to Deku. You gotta let the next generation take on your challenges. But whatever you do, don't be Batman. Don't try to use your hero strategy to force itself in this center stage and kick the sidekick off to the side. Also, Batman's a villain. On an unrelated note, I'm not going to go back and forth with you guys with that. All I gotta say is healthcare. Gladiator Beast. Big dogs, you guys have seen Gladiator Beast in my Anime Mayhem, where we take anime Yu-Gi-Oh strategies and have them go head to head to each other to see who's the best. Gladiator Beast is a really good combo deck that needs old Cali to explain. Everybody knows that I've won several championship series with my Gladiator Beast deck. I was playing Gladiator Beast in World War II. I'm the reason why we won. If I'm gonna give an honest take to Gladiator Beast, I'm gonna say it has a ton of potential. It's not the Gladiator Beast deck that I know and love anymore, but it is still a Gladiator Beast deck that summons tons of powerful monsters. Your problem? Well, you're gonna lose to a lot of modern day things, but there's the potential. Me personally, I think Gladiator Beast would have been better suited as a mid-range or even a stun-based Yu-Gi-Oh deck, maybe one that controlled the tempo. The combo version of Gladiator Beast does leave way too many openings for it to be considered a solid or above deck. Goblin Bikers are next. Look, big dogs, this has been the third set now. And I remember when I said Goblin Bikers will genuinely come into their own when there is an Exceed Yu-Gi-Oh deck that is one of the best decks in the game. The time is now. Ironically, I think that Goblin Biker does do what it does as a pure deck, but I want to talk about how crazy it is as an engine. Goblin Biker's grand entrance allows you to detach materials from your opponent's cards to search goblin monsters. Like, brother, you can, it's literally a board breaker. As long as you can find some goblin cards to be able to ride inside of your deck, I think that goblins can be good. I think in the future, players are going to start experimenting with a goblin package inside of their deck. As a pure strategy, it is a solid choice overall. Live Twin technically got support. Abeoku, the Lightless Shadow, is support for live twins. You won't believe how far in a rabbit hole I had to go to look up live twin support. In the future, the strategy does get more support to make it a lot stronger. But right now, with the deck's best asset is to use the Fiendsmith cards alongside of Lightless Shadow to be able to create a Nibiru token. When it comes to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, playing a Fiendsmith engine makes your deck better, granted, but I don't think it makes the deck powerful enough to consider it as a strategy with a ton of potential. You're better off just playing other Fiendsmith variant strategies. Now, there's been some talk on the town when it comes to Malice. There's a new Mulechummy card called Mulechummy Meows. Did they really expect grown men to go meows when it gets activated or something? I don't know. This card, Mulechummy Flawless and Artifact Lancia, are going to be cards to put Malice out of business. I mean, and by out of business, I mean right here. Actually, right here if we're counting. Big dogs, I just want to say I don't think that Mulechummy Flawless is that good of a card. Let me actually backtrack. The card can be good, but do you really think players over a span of time are going to dedicate 6 slots to stopping Malice? 3 Meows and 3 Artifact Lancia pretty much are only for Malice. It really isn't spectacular against anything else. The answer for me would be a resounding no. But I do think it does provide a cap for Malice, and it could never be a tier 1 deck because there's so many powerful counters against it. Like how Branded was. Still really powerful, lots of counters. Now, Materia Actor. I do expect this deck to actually do some really powerful things when Alliance Insight comes out. I see a pathway for Materia Actors to be a legitimate Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Players need to stop playing on its name. Right now, I wouldn't give it a nod as a pure Yu-Gi-Oh deck. We've talked about this so many times, but I would say it's pretty decent right now and has a really bright future. Mermels, my dogs, my boys in blue, and I ain't talking about the Popo. Mermel has an uncanny ability to be able to survive, and it feels like any given format. To add more to it, there are 3 new cards: the new Poseidra monster alongside of the new Exceed monster, and a trap card for the Exceed monster to search, because nobody ain't trying to search Abyssphere no more. Big dog, big dog, big dog. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out, old school players. Play 1 sphere, 1 Lin. You cooking, man, you cooking. I don't know what, but you cooking. Mermel, in my opinion, is one of the very few decks that can challenge some of the top decks in the game. It is ridiculously powerful and oftentimes underrated. It's amazing at board break, and if we do start moving towards less hand traps because they're not as powerful against some of the strongest decks, well, this strategy can hand rip, which is very scary. Its biggest problem? Abyss Dweller. Yep, that's its biggest problem. Metamorph, my boys. Boy, if y'all don't get this strategy out, get out my face. Metamorph is getting a Red Eyes Claws card in the very distant future, which I think is... Oh yeah, that card's definitely it. But right now in this Supreme Darkness format, don't do it. Please don't do it. Because if you embarrass Joey, then we all going through it. Please don't do it. One day a Joey themed Yu-Gi-Oh deck will top, and it'll probably be some Flame Metamorph Red Eyes variant, but not right now. Mitsuki is a hot topic because in most players' eyes, this is the very first time in a long time we've received a TCG exclusive Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that's good. I mean, outside of my boy War Rocks, bro, ain't that right? Nobody messing with War Rocks, ain't that right? I think that Mitsuki, even as a pure deck, will be incredibly solid. Hear me out, guys. Reptiles are some of the most underserved cards in the game. Not really. They're actually secret busted. Between spell cards like Snake Rain, your Ogdotic cards, and your Ragnaraka cards, there is a lot more support in Reptiles than what you would say Sea Serpent or Illusion, even Psychic. What players are doing right now is using Planet Pluton Virus to be able to give an A counter to all of the opponent's monsters, and following up with Cosmic Cercial, which switches those monsters to defense and permanently negates those effects. It's quite the combo for a strategy that's still going to get another wave of support to have. Phantom Knight technically got support. I hate the technicals sometimes. What I mean by technical support, Phantom Knights got Lightless Shadow. Bro, like it's a cool combo for a Nuberu token. Honestly, like some players, you're holding on to the past. Making Artifact Dagda to be able to set your Artifact Lancia so Lightless Shadow can destroy is definitely some 2020 wave. Give it up, bro. Go home. That works against one deck. Maybe. I don't think Phantom Knights are bad, actually. Probably better than most of these decks, but I would not put my bets on it topping a major event. Now, Primite got a little bit crazy, guys. The new Primite, another Burrow monster, is ridiculously sick, and it ties all of it together. I'm going to consider Primite as not only pure, but any strategy involving Primite, since it's such an underrated engine. I think that this is one of those strategies that will be able to challenge. If you guys haven't read Primite Drill Bean and Primite Resounding Reaction, I urge you guys to go take a look at those cards. They're disruptive cards that keep coming back. There's also Primite Imperial Dragon, which on surface didn't look really strong, but when you start combining it with all these other cards, the deck starts to get a little crazy, big dog. I think that this deck will be a strategy that can challenge, whether it is as a solo archetype or as an engine inside of another deck. A lot of people should be watching out for Primite, and if they didn't pick up their cards beforehand, well, I don't know what to tell you. Risel, there's a big debate on which stronger, Risel Mitsuki or Risel Fiendsmith. Regardless, apparently you shouldn't be playing pure Risel. I'm not going to disagree with that notion, but I think a lot of people do forget about Risel Bestial. Risel Bestial gives you coverage against the Fiendsmiths, while also Branded Regain gives you coverage against Malice. All three of those strategies are decently viable, and if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, I think regardless of what you pick, Risel is the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's pretty much been solidified over the last couple of weeks, and once we get the support for Supreme Darkness, which Risel gets way more support in Supreme Darkness comparative to the other decks, it's going to be crazy. Eclipse the Twin Shadow should not exist. It makes cards like King of Feral Imps and Abyss Dweller bannable. Sharks, my boy, look at this, 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 look at this. Boom! Taking a bite out the meta. Shark players were flabbergasted when I did not mention sharks on my budget tier list. Well, that's because I have bigger plans for sharks. I think that they're solid. I actually want to talk about one important thing about sharks, my boy. First of all, they're not food, they're friends. Secondly is that while sharks are powerful, one knock that I would say is kind of the same knock that I did with Marine Cess about a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, Mermel does some of the things that Shark does a little better, at least until the new May set comes out and we get the new Tachyon card. Back to you, Kelly. Thank you, reporter Kelly, because Six Samurais is next. And a lot of people say I'm sleeping on Six Samurais. I would say you guys are too woke. Six Samurais are not going to be a competitive tech chat. They're not. Maybe at a local level, I would highly doubt it at a regional level. And if they ever top the YCS, I might quit. And it's not because I hate Six Samurais or anything, but it's just because the future that I envision in Six Samurais topping, they're a tier 0 deck, and I don't think anybody wants to deal with that. There just seems to be no in-between for this strategy. Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes got some really good support. I mean, there's a crazy good fusion monster, there's more Azamina support, but there's also still original Sinful Spoil Snake Eyes band, so it's still good, right? Brother, hear me out. Snake Eyes, Bestial, Fiendsmith, Azamina, Kashtira. That's a deck. Or you can drop the Snake Eyes cards. I'm gonna put it in darkness. There's absolutely no reason to play Snake Eyes in your deck, which is weird because not even 2 months ago, this was the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Original Sinful Spoils was the correct card to ban. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm looking at it now like maybe Snake Eyes Ash can come back. Let me know what you think about that. Now, Speedroid is a combo central deck that I think has a little bit of potential. TJ's been putting me on game about this strategy, saying, oh, you could play through hand traps, you could do that, you could do this. I think that the more dedicated players are going to do pretty well with it. They're gonna enjoy the support. But as far as the majority of players, potential's there though. I think that TPI Dragon is still a strategy that can challenge the top decks in the game. What a lot of players are doing is TPI Dragon Fiendsmith or TPI Dragon Bestial. The Bestial cards actually go a long way. They're really good counters to Risel Bestial and other strategies that are light and dark graveyard reliant. And they also provide a way, or one of the ways, to be able to make Chaos Angel if you provide a complementary piece. Regardless, TPI Dragons aren't dead, they just got expensive. That's the only difference. Now for Unchained, my guys, I'm making a bold take and I don't care what you say. Unchained, baby. Unchained, best deck. Best deck. The reason why I say Unchained is one of the better decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now is because it already is a strong strategy. I made a deck profile talking about how Unchained is crazy that you guys should check out, but Unchained Fiendsmith is probably the best Fiend strategy in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of its ability to be able to dodge hand traps, but also it being incredibly great at making boards or breaking boards. But I don't know, guys, let me know if I'm coping on that one and where Unchained should be if you're not part of the Fiend family. Vendra got support that makes you realize that there's still darkness ahead. This strategy needs a whole revamp. And White Force got a really powerful card. I think the real card to focus on is Azamina LZ of the White Force, allowing you to be able to reveal this card in your hand to summon a White Force monster from your hand. Holy crap, that's an extension. Then it allows you to fusion summon an Azamina monster too? The bridge. This bridges the Azamina and the White Forest cards better than any Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy in the game right now. Sorry, Snake Eyes. I'm gonna put it in Can Challenge. There are some legitimate questions around White Forest that I think are warranted, but I will never underestimate the power of the waifu. Some of you guys should be arrested. Sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies perform better because of sheer numbers. Because this strategy has the same aesthetic as Fate Prisma, I think players are gonna really goon over it and figure out how to make it good. If not, just top through sheer number. Again, FBI. Now for Kashtira, I think what keeps this deck in the game is Kashtira Unicorn. In my humble opinion, the card needs to be banned. Being able to rip important cards out of the extra deck is crazy, but sometimes one isn't enough. Oftentimes two is a lot. You get the three, boy! It's a reason why so many strategies deck build around for Kashtira. I think it's going to be really, really solid. Also, the whole gimmick of banishing cards face down is incredibly powerful. Never count this deck out. I think that dragons actually have a really good thing going on for it. If there's a lot of Fiendsmith into the game, then dragons can thrive. Also, like I said before, Branded Regain is a crazy good card against Malice. It actually has a couple of portions of the game completely locked down. I think that dragons are a strategy that can challenge, and I wouldn't be surprised if you guys see it at the top tables of a high-level event, if not topping. Dragons, in my opinion, have the potential to run away with the whole thing. It could potentially win it, but I don't think if it does win it, it's one of the best decks. Just a strategy that's really good right now because of what everybody's playing. Centurion secretly got support. Magistus Chirozzo allows them to be able to make Cosmic Blazar Dragon a little bit more easier and just with one Trudea and a discard. That's crazy. The problem with Centurion is that it's a little too easy to disrupt. Book of Eclipse is also in the format. Crazy. I wouldn't say that Centurion is a complete failure though. It is a strategy that plays really good in that mid-range and even better If the Molcharvi cards start getting mained again, it's incredible against them. It's nowhere near a bad Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, just not its time at this second. And lastly is the meme team, guys. Just like how I expect the decks in Darkness Ahead to not be strong, I expect Memento to top a major event this format. Hands down, no exceptions. This deck is crazy. The biggest problem with the meme team is almost the opposite of White Force. Representation. I think also that, and because the deck is a little bit more complicated to play, people would rather just turn off their brains and play Risel or Malice. But the rewarding part of this deck is that it can play through those hand interruptions fairly well and is just really, really good. And that's all that I have for the best decks tier list post Supreme Darkness, big dog. Please let me know, what do you think about this? I may have been a little bit too much. Looking at this bottom row, I think that Snake Eyes is a little better. I mean, it's still Snake Eyes, but still, this is what I would have. Of course, big dog, if you want to see more amazing content, you already know what to do. Go ahead and check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.